A beautiful Friday morning in the city of Lagos, where we are broadcasting from. This is Voice of the People Television, and this is the program VOP This Morning. I had to say that, so Fina would have to do that. Oh well, welcome to the program. I am Moses Humphrey, and mentioned her name already.
All right, I'm Fina. Okay, Chuku. Thank you very much for doing that, Jive. You're welcome to the breakfast show on Voice of the People Television.
I was hoping you wouldn't do that.
I don't want to, and I'm not going to do it. Okay, fine. I'm not going to do that. And I'm talking about having a scintillating show this morning, this Friday's edition of the show.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we have an interesting lineup for you. Like NJC recommends that Justice Kekere Ekun as the new CJN. And also we have 20 others.
28
judges,
others,
28
yes.
others.
Judges of various courts.
Various courts. And, lineups. We have wonderful one, and we also have fascinating guests that also help to x-ray all those and beautiful more other topics that will be coming your way this morning.
And I am Chupuma Okoro. It's good to have you guys join us this morning. Please do stay with us as we take you down to what the package we have for you this morning.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And an interesting package. You'll realize that we have put together for you. We have the paper review. We have the topics. Fina already let one out of the bag, but we have a whole lot more that we'll be talking about. We also have the entertainment segment. Of course, something interesting right there for you as well. Numbers scrolling on your screen are numbers with which you can communicate with us. Let us know your thoughts and your views on the subject matter. And also, you can be part of the conversation by subscribing to our channel on YouTube. It's Voice of the People TV. And on other social media platforms, go ahead, follow us. We are at VOP TV, at VOP TV Live. Yes, that's it. At VOP TV Live, excuse me, on other social media platforms. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll go into the papers, looking at stories that made it to the cover pages of some dailies, and then we'll get into the conversation proper. Welcome on board.
Welcome back to VOP this morning. It's time for us to look at the front pages of the national dailies. And we have before us this morning the Punch newspaper. We also have the Daily Independent, the Guardian, and the Nigerian Tribune. I would like to start from the Punch newspaper this morning, where we'll have the banner headline to be Ogun FTZ deal. Chinese firm targets Nigeria assets in 8 countries. And we'll have the writer to that headline to be Zhongshan eyes access in UK, US, others. Presidency vows to protect jets. And just right beside the nameplate, which is the Punch, you have another headline there that reads, court orders for forfeiture of MFLA's $2.4 million Lagos Delta assets. Harvest season reduces food inflation to 39.5%. And that is from Abubakar Kyari. Right, FGI's pension funds in $500 million bond issuance. You can get that story on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. Mpox, that's a monkeypox. FG tightens border surveillance as cases hit 39. And from there, we move down to, okay, we have a pictorial. And in this pictorial, we can see people in Meduguri in airplane, and we can also see that of Kainji. Yeah. And right beneath that pictorial, we'll have other headlines to read. Educationist files 11 billion naira suit against Sanwo-Olu over school demolition. Educationist files 11 billion naira suit against Sanwo-Olu over school demolition. That is on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. CJN, NJC sends Kekere Ekun's name to Tinubu, and that is on page 27 of the Punch newspaper. And the last but not the least of the headlines on the Punch this morning reads, Secretariat raid. Secretariat raid. NLC demands detained members released. And that is on page 11 of the Punch newspaper. It's more like the people that were, people that they took away from NLC headquarters, and now they know where they are. Before now we're having this not clear information on who did the raiding of the NLC office or headquarters in Abuja. DSS said they weren't the one, but we saw, individuals have guns and marks, go and raiding that headquarters. But now that NLC have decided to talk about the release of their members that are being detained, let's know how that will actually still unfold. And that is all we have on the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, and moving away from the Punch newspaper, I have the Nigerian Tribune in front of me. Let's take headlines from Nigerian Tribune now. On top of the nameplate of the paper, despite rising price of items, NBS says inflation rate drops to 33.40%. NJC recommends Kekeriakun as CJN, 28 others as judges. Anger as French court orders seizure of 3 presidential jets. Over dispute between Ogun State, Chinese firm. FG has no contractual obligation with Chinese firm. Presidency, that's according to the presidency. Process attaching aircraft to contract, fraudulent. Ogun government. Seized presidential jets are sovereign assets. Immune from attachment. AGF says legal diplomatic steps on course to ensure discharge of inappropriate order. Secret purchase of presidential jets despite outcry. Insensitive. OB. And Nigeria battles multiple diseases as Mpox cases rise to 39. All right, Nigeria battles multiple diseases as Mpox cases rise to 39. Kano governor has reduced governance to a joke, and that's coming from Ganduje. All right then, dismisses claim of missing documents on corruption trial. All right. Nigeria sets new record as over 30,000 mothers breastfeeding simultaneously. Nigeria sets new record as over 30,000 mothers breastfeed simultaneously. Interesting, I must say, interesting one. That's a good record to set. It's breastfeeding week, by the way. So, no surprise, this conversation is making it to the cover pages of the dailies. Mothers to be, and everyone should know, including fathers, should understand the essence of breastfeeding for the child. All right, Nigerians are hungry due to failure of government. Afe Babalola backs the Patriots' call for new constitution. Senate denies receiving 21 million naira as salary. Allowances, says running cost not peculiar to NAS. All right. Interesting times there. Interesting times. Well, I think that will be all the headlines from the Nigerian Tribune.
So now let's move over to the Guardian newspaper, and there's a lot on the front page of the Guardian, with the banner headline that reads, Nigeria awaits Los Angeles Olympics after Paris 9 billion naira poor outing. And the kicker there says, rinse and repeat. Like, when you fall down, you don't stay down. Try and get up.
Yeah, you have to
dust yourself.
And we have a series of pictures there, like the pictorial, expressing with our athletes, sportsmen expressing their disappointments at their performance, So, and I hope that with this, the preparation for the next Olympics is already off, and we hope to come out better than we did.
One of the most disappointing for me is Toby
Amusan.
It's unfortunate how it panned out for her. I expected a whole lot more, and I'm sure a lot of Nigerians expected a whole lot more from her, but oh well. And then one starts to wonder, we did see some Nigerians competing for other countries, winning medals. Yeah. And that begs the question of competing for Nigeria in Nigeria. What does it portend for the individual?
Oh, like, is there a problem with Nigeria as a country?
Is it an administrative thing?
You know, when you look at how this Olympic actually turned out, the Paris Olympic 2024, you begin to ask, what is the sports council in Nigeria? What is it really doing? The Minister of Sports, I'm talking about NO. What is really happening? Whereby some of the people that went to represent Nigeria don't even have the needed equipment. You know, they have to borrow some, or even go as far as using other people's
in that regard, they're talking about the cycling, the lady.
Yes, the lady.
I can't remember her name off the cuff right now.
And also, Ophelia was of the opinion
in that regard, yeah. I would say, from what we have gathered, from what I gathered, she was not built to compete in that competition. All right, Nigeria was only asked to compete because some countries dropped out, were disqualified. And so most of the preparation wasn't, no, they were already there.
To get a bike in Paris.
The bike is a special bike. Ready to go
special
for
bike.
it.
It's a special bicycle.
Do you pre-order it or what?
Yes.
You know, but now,
for that compete?
For the competition, yes.
Oh, that's
it has to be pre-ordered.
Since now, I think
what should have happened was, since you know that we were not prepared, you probably should have declined.
That is it.
But why was she even in Paris?
Well, she had other things to compete for.
Anyway, Moses, it's a different story. We'll delve into that in our newspaper review.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and the Guardian says, falling food prices moderate inflation spike amid sustainability concerns. And Bauchi Emirate withdraws senator's chieftaincy over alleged disrespect for governor. Alleged disrespect. I'm sure this guy is in the same bed with Abbas. Disrespect for politicians and Tajuddin Abbas. Okay?
Oh, well.
Mpox, that's monkeypox. NCDC places airports, seaports, states on high alert. I hope we don't get to another lockdown, you know, after the COVID lockdown.
But you know, they've declared, WHO have already declared that in case of emergency. So.
Okay. So the big story is NJC recommends Kekere Eku as CJN, Chief Justice of Nigeria, 28 other judges. You can find that on page 7 of The Guardian. And court orders forfeiture of 2 million naira.
Dollars, that is.
Sorry, $2 million. I'm used to naira. Pardon me. $2 million. Shares, properties linked to MFLA. This MFLA story doesn't seem to.
Yeah.
And another big story, Senate defends running costs for lawmakers. That's on page 8. Sorry, page 3 of The Guardian. Address hardship to avert another protest. Udenta tells Tinubu. And Mr. Peter Obi says, international embarrassment as federal government. Okay, international embarrassment, says Obi, as federal government moves to recover seized jets. And the bottom strip says, discos defend tariff hike, claim Ban A customers pay lowest rates in West Africa. That's very interesting.
Very interesting conversation, but of course, we'll come to it when we dive into the newspaper review, where we do have some of the papers to touch on. We have the Daily Independent. Fina, you want to take Daily Independent?
All right. On the front page of the Daily Independent this morning, the banner headline there reads, FG clarifies seizure of Nigeria's 3 presidential jets in France. The writers are, assures on step to discharge inappropriate orders against jets. Chinese firm plotting to strip Nigeria's offshore assets. Presidency. Firm misled French court on presidential aircraft. That is coming from Ogun government. Obi says seizure is international embarrassment. Asks FG to come clean. And we have the window headlines on the Daily Independent this morning to be NJC recommends Kudirat Kekere Ekun as Chief Justice of Nigeria. Tinubu asks African leaders to address exodus of talents from continent. And we have, a pictorial where we have the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, giving a handshake to a Lagosian that happens to be on the Lagos Internal Revenue Portal generation or creation. And beside that pictorial, we have other headlines to be Secretariat invasion, NLC debunks police explanations about terrorists, accuses FG of meddling in union activities. And you can get that on page 7 of the Daily Independent. Despite court order, APC NWC, that's APC National Working Committee, still recognizes Rivers Okocha-led CTC. You can get that on page 6 of the Daily Independent. Court orders for forfeiture of $2.04 million properties, shares linked to MFLA. Delay in crude supply to Dangote refinery poses risk to Nigeria's economy. And that is according to a report by EIU. You can get that story on page 6 of the Daily Independent. And we'll have another bold headline on the front page of the Daily Independent this morning. And it reads, despite high food prices, Nigeria's inflation eased to 33.40% in July. The last but not the least, that's the bottom strip headline, reads, NEMA advises immediate relocation as flood hits 27 states. NEMA advises immediate relocation as floods hit 27 states. And these are the headlines we have on the Daily Independent.
Where do they relocate to?
We need to get across to us now. And these 27 states now,
the interesting thing is how NEMA and governors in flood-prone areas will tell you, look, relocate to higher grounds. It's the rainy season, relocate to higher grounds. They keep saying that without considering the cost of renting apartments. All right, some of these people live in these areas because that's what they can afford. Some of these low-level areas are like, it's what they can afford. So you just say, get another apartment, move houses, move in with family and friends. You can't just wake up and move. It takes a lot. Yeah. It takes a lot of planning. And that's why some people will stay put where they are. And unfortunately, the flood meets them there. I think a whole lot more should be done. Well, I'm not going to put this on the table of government alone. The people played their own part. Most of the problems we have with flooding, flash floods, is as a result of bad drainages. And bad drainages can be laid on the table of those that live within the areas. People clog their drainages with refuse. In this present day and age, in the year 2024, you still see people bring out refuse bins and empty it into drainage, into the channels when the rains are falling, expecting that the flow of water will move their problems, will move their sins and their dirt away to somebody else's domot.
Moses, I'm happy that you mentioned this now. But I think that is what the National Orientation Agency should be doing. Sensitizing people, educating people, rather than defending the policies of government. It's a government
sensitizing people. I feel, shouldn't people know that these things are not healthy?
Now we'll bring you back again to the table of the
government.
government.
Wickedness?
Let's bring you back to the table of the government where there's no proper urban planning for people actually to build their houses. And not just that, also, those amenities that people need are not really being provided for. Yes. Because if you actually bring it down,
I always believe that it's a two-way thing. Like Moses said, it's a two-way thing. I think government needs to do.
Okay.
And the people are people have their own part.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that is where there should be a signage, and I still put it back to the NOA. That is it is their function, to sensitize the people about values.
I was somewhere and
values.
Then I asked someone, why is it that in this, this particular part of this house, you guys have so many refuse dumped there? And this person said, where am I supposed to drop it? Am I supposed to eat it back? Now the thing is, I was like, why is
In
it that we
their
don't?
house.
Is it that we don't have the people that are supposed to help clean? The cup or the tank that they have outside where they pour in this refuse is already filled up,
refuse bin.
and there's no way they can actually empty the refuse bin. And
And the PSPs are not coming to
exactly.
pack
Now
those
you
things.
understand. And when I asked, they were like, they pay all the sanitation bills. They do pay them, but the thing is, you don't get to see them. Sometimes they come there once in 2 or 3 months if they know that there will be an inspection in those areas. And these are the people that we have, and they are collecting their salaries, and no one actually is checkmating how they run their bills or their deals. So bring it back again to the table of government. Let them provide the necessary amenities for people, even for them to empty their refuse bins, or people that will be picking it or collecting it up every day. And also introduce
I think they are
measures.
built to do that. They are built to collect the refuse on a daily basis. Or at least weekly. You know, they go around streets weekly. Maybe it's
Yeah, it's good, but I don't think that weekly is that good. If they can't do it daily, no, if they can't do it daily, maybe today, tomorrow, you come back.
okay.
You know, because
Every other day.
refuse is something that you generate every
I
other
pay.
day.
You know, I pay in my house, for example. I pay people to come and help me pick mine out of the house. Yeah, you have to pay.
You pay people.
Yes.
You mean
I pay the
Barrow.
carts?
yes.
That's illegal, you know.
No,
That's illegal.
So
You
what am I
shouldn't-
supposed to do
you
when I
shouldn't-
know within
shouldn't.
myself that there's no way? Am I going to leave with the
Because
debris
those
in the house?
Move it to a dump site and put it there, which it can then go ahead and cause. It could be harmful to to those that live around there.
But the government is
that's in
supposed to
itself
manage the
illegal.
Government
dump
need to manage everything
dump
for
site.
it to be better the way it should be. Yes.
All right, it's difficult holding brief for the
anybody.
government.
For anybody.
But then again, we still have cholera. Cholera is ravaging, and we see people defecating on highways, street corners. You know, that should be stopped. If you're watching this, know that if you do your thing in a place that you're not supposed to do it, you're endangering somebody's life, because that can flow into. And then you see people put up stalls on top of drainages, and they sell food there, and they wash. I don't want to paint a picture that will spoil your mind this morning, but a lot should be done. We should deal with our health in a better manner, because cholera is ravaging. It's killing people. A lot of people are dying as a result of cholera, and also mpox is around, and we know how contagious this can be. Body to body exchange of body fluids. All of this is measures through which mpox can be transmitted from one person to another. So stay safe. Even as government is trying to police our borders and airports, individuals should ensure that they stay safe as well. All right. Well, I guess that's how far we can go with the newspaper headlines. More paper review. The actual review will be at 9 o'clock. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at the recommendation by the NJC, the recommendation of Justice Kekereekun Motomari, Justice Motomari Kekereekun as CJN, and 28 others, of course. We'll talk about this one, the implications for Nigeria, when we come back.
From the views on the street
We go to bed empty hunger.
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice. Catch up with the latest topics making the buzz, the stories that tick, the trends. Let's let you in on why they are trending. From politics, entertainment, business, lifestyle, and more. Analyzing the trending stories with top eyeballs. Hashtag on Voice of the People Television, giving you an insight to everything and everyone Nigeria is talking about. Showing on VOP TV, 10 p.m. Monday to Friday. Hashtag if it's trending, we bring it on. The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being of an individual. It's the fundamental right of everyone to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health without distinction of race, religion, or political belief. On VOP TV, we bring you Health Check, a show that x-rays different health issues and provides solutions with the help of experts in the medical field. Join us every Tuesday from 2:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Health Check. Health Check on VOP TV. Your health, our priority. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Well, the National Judicial Council, NJC, has recommended Justice Kudirat Kekereekun to President Bola Tinubu for appointment as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, following the upcoming the retirement of Justice Olukayode Ariwoola on August 22nd, 2024. If approved, Justice Kekereekun will become the second female CJN, succeeding Justice Mukhtar Aloma, I beg your pardon. Additionally, the NJC at its 106th meeting on August 14th and 15th, presided over by the outgoing CJN, recommended 28 candidates for state court judgeships and one candidate for Cadi of the FCT Sharia Court of Appeal, while specific recommendations include 6 judges for Kwara State High Court, 8 for Rivers State High Court, 6 for Ondo State High Court, and 4 for Benue State High Court, along with 2 candidates for the Benue State Customary Court of Appeal, and then 1 for Kaduna State High Court. All candidates will be sworn in after approval by the president and their respective state governors. Well, we have with us in the studio Barrister Darlington Agumwa and also Olufemi Lawson, who is Executive Director, Center for Public Accountability, CPA. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to the conversation.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Barrister,
yes.
I will throw this one to you. It's, you know, some Nigerians are a little bit concerned at this recommendation. Some Nigerians are perceiving this as nepotistic, seeing that the outgoing CJN came from one part of the country, and the incoming, well, the possibly incoming CJN is also from the same part of the country. Do you feel the same way? Is that something that we should be worried about?
Yeah, Moses, thank you for that question. You know, in the legal profession, there is a seniority both in the bench and the bar. It is a very important factor. There is hierarchy even in our courts and in the individuals that are practicing the court.
So according to that, is she the next in line?
Yeah, that is, in fact, that is where I'm going. You remember when Odele was to take over after, was it not, I've forgotten the name now, but for reasons best known to the NJC, it was given to Tanko, Dr. Tanko, who left in infamy, in ignominy, because of what, in fact, his colleagues had to write a petition against him. And he had to leave even before his term expired. So what I'm saying in essence is that whenever we begin to play this nepotism in our institutions, in places where we should uphold justice and fairness, the ripple effects will go down to affect the polity in several ways.
First, according to your knowledge, is she the next in line?
This is where I'm going. You know,
I would like you to get there because
yes,
time.
In getting there, the question we should be asking ourselves, even if you are the next in line and your record is tainted, is it not enough to say no? You know the baggages that woman is carrying, to the extent that a U.S.
Well, before we talk about the baggages that she's carrying, or the baggage that she's carrying,
it's very important because that
before we come to it, you know, the conversation, you know, it can still be, you know, extended. So before we come to that, I wanted to know if is there anything wrong if she's next in line, regardless of whatever you might perceive or what some Nigerians might perceive as things that she might have done or a baggage? Shouldn't whoever is next in line be given a chance?
If you look at it very well, you know...
If she's next in line.
Yes, that's what we are trying to find out here. Okay. Maybe in the days to come, we'll find out whether she's actually the next in line. Because the politicians we know in Nigeria, they can do anything for their own selfish interests. So we don't know for now until we begin to dig at the records.
All right.
So
because I'm saying it based on what happened to Odele.
No, that which you just said now, Barrister, I would like to bring you in now, Mr. Olufemi Lawson. Barrister was of the opinion that if they have hierarchies and they also respect, you know, these hierarchies, I'm talking about the time and, you know, all that. Bringing it back to what he mentioned when he talked about Mary Odele becoming the seizure, but it was given to Tanko. Do you share this line of thought that this appointment of CJN now is a way to compensate, people who have actually worked in favor of some individuals in Nigeria?
No, I don't want to totally agree. For me, I've followed this profession, the judiciary, and I think it is a thing of convention and common knowledge that there is order of hierarchy in the appointment of judges. In actual fact, if you are sworn into the Supreme Court today as a judge, and somebody is sworn in tomorrow, in the order of hierarchy, despite the fact that you are coming almost 24 hours after the seniority, that is established. And if you look at the order of seniority in the Supreme Court today, it's just a coincidence that a Southwesterner is leaving and another person from the same region is taking over. In actual fact, Justice Kekereekun is next in order of seniority to the outgoing CJN. So it's established. Now, the essence of not just summarily appointing them is why the NJC have to ratify such appointment. So if there are issues about the qualification of the person or some other issues that may have to do with the integrity of the person, it is not left for the NJC to accept the nomination or reject. We've seen instances where NJC have rejected appointment of judges from the State High Court, in the past, just like the NJC also see into the appointment of judges.
And you think that's not being politically,
so
motivated?
In fact, on a number of times, even CPA as an organization have petitioned the NJC because of the decision of some state government, state governors to bring people who are not, in the order of seniority to come and be state chief judges. For instance, in Bauchi, in Kebbi, we took the Bauchi state government to court. We took the Kebbi state government to court because what happened in Kebbi was that a woman was next in line. But because being a woman, being a Christian, they brought somebody from behind to come and be the state chief judge. And we took this to the NJC, and the NJC at that point suspended the elevation of that person to the state chief judge. So it happens a number of times because of the political influence of people. But in the case of Justice Kekereekun, she's next in hierarchy to...
Okay, Mr. Lawson, I like the fact that you are also talking about seniority, just like Barrister Agommo did. But I'm kind of... is there some kind of predetermination, because these appointments are made, from the bench, from judges, from different states, Like the outgoing CJN is from the West. Kekereekun is from the West.
Yes.
So I want to know, is there a kind of, and you also mentioned the political play, the political influences that gets into this appointment. Is there some kind of predetermination that somebody can say, okay, in the next 10 years or in the next 15 years, let us prop up somebody so that by 15 years, when this other person is leaving, he or she will be the appropriate person to stay in this position and probably serve some interests for us. No, does that happen?
No, it could happen, but it's not usually in the open. And you understand that before getting to this stage of being a justice of the Supreme Court, you must have come through the states to the court of
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is it possible for somebody to stay somewhere and say, let me manipulate this system so that in the next 15 years...
It may not be easy because judges are brought... Judges are brought from all over the states, to become appeal court judges.
Like we have a governor now, we have a minister whose wife is an appeal court
We have had governors in the past whose wives were in the court. I'm asking, is
it possible for somebody to say, probably in the next 15 years, in the next 12 years?
It may be difficult because nobody actually knows who will be here next year. So, it may be difficult. Very difficult.
Looking at the way the whole CJN, the seat and the appointment is being structured, and you just made mention of the hierarchy, wouldn't it be better or possible for that to be, more like elections, just like we have the NBA that gave birth, that have now their president to be Osigwe or Asigwe, or can't they actually follow the line of other civil service commission offices whereby as you're growing in your own levels, there'll be examinations to determine who actually will be the person that will be there? Why do we have to throw the line of appointment for us to have a CJN? Why not election or go for, credible, let's say, examination or something like that? Why go for appointment?
It may not be so because ab initio, that is not the way it was structured. Except they will now go to the National Assembly and make a law. But then the politicians that you and I know will not agree because it will not serve their interests. I want to give you two examples. The man who was heading the Abuja division, I've discussed this man's name the other time. He was taken to ICJ when there was vacancy and there was a slot for Nigeria. The man was taken there to represent Nigerian interests. Out of the 3 tests they set for him, he failed all of them. Embarrassingly.
That's an International Court of Justice?
Yes, he failed all of them. And then they had to ship him back with the 9 other positions that were supposed to be occupied by Nigerians. All of them came back. Are you telling me that we don't have Nigerian lawyers or judges who would have made a better candidate in that exam? This was where Taslim Elias made his mark. This was where Bola Ajibola made his mark. But look at what sentiment have done to us over there. We have to come back. Now look at an IGP is supposed to retire next month. Somebody took a bill to extend his tenure by another 4 years. Has he not altered the hierarchy in the police now? That means people who are even juniors to him will retire before him, will still be in service.
So are we seeing the words of David Cameron playing where he said that Nigerians are fantastically...
He did not even say that. He said that, he added something. He said that if the amount of money that is stolen from Nigeria were to be taken away from UK, that UK would have collapsed.
All right. Now,
so what I'm saying is that based on what you just said, these things are altered from the beginning. They think ahead. All these things have been.
Yeah, that's what my colleague was.
That is so. When you are talking of hierarchy, that's in position. They have already been positioned.
Thank you very much.
This same woman passed the judgment in Imo State that is causing problems.
Barrister, we're going to get to that.
All right then. So let me. Okay. Now let me come to something my colleague mentioned. He talked about interest, and we've seen politicians strategically put those related to them in certain positions. And some of these things we overlook. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from the hard work that these individuals have done, you know, how they have gotten themselves to where they've gotten to with hard work. But we can't shy away from 2023 incidents of Bukachiwa, Senator Bukachiwa, who talked about how he was able to influence his wife in judgments and also assisted his friends in the Senate. We can't sweep that under the rug. And we can't also hide away from the current CJN, Ariwola, who just swore in his daughter as the FCT, as a judge of the FCT High Court. You know, and we also have some politicians who have relatives of theirs occupying certain positions. Now, speak to how this will affect policies, governance in Nigeria if those that are related to serving officials have relatives of theirs occupying sensitive positions. Shouldn't there be a law prohibiting people that are serving officials of government from having relatives of theirs occupy certain, offices?
I was going to take it, my response up from where you just concluded now, because that was going to be my thought. You see, this is not just about the judiciary. It's just unfortunate that we are discussing this at the end point, because it didn't start from the Supreme Court. These are issues, as we speak, daughters of former judges have been sworn in. Just so the lead daughters are now, judges, despite their very short year of practices,
despite their short years of practice.
Yes, these are influence that politicians bring into the system. And it is not just peculiar to the judiciary. Today, people bring their children to come and be directors in CBN. People are bringing their children to replace themselves in the ministries where they are retiring. So it's a national problem. And because there are no laws, just like you said, that actually scrutinizes people who you are being. Because when you look at the qualification of some of this, just like Barry said, a lot of them got into position basically because of nepotism, and they become embarrassment to the system eventually because they cannot actually deliver as expected. Today, the senators can boastfully say that they have pushed their children into this. One of the senators the other day was boasting about how he has been able to put his child in the CBN. Here in this country, we had where policemen who are retiring had their children already killed up behind them.
Are we not setting ourselves up for disaster?
Well, it's these are, of course, eligible Nigerians. They have right to work anywhere. But the process of recruitment must be well interrogated, especially when it has to do with the fact that people are virtually replacing themselves while still alive into this system. That is the need why we must demand more transparency. If your child is qualified to replace you on that seat, being based on merit, fantastic. He's a Nigerian, is qualified. But not because he has to sit there because of your influence, because he has to jump some of the exams that others have to go through rigorously, but because he's your child, he has found himself coming to replace you automatically. So it's a major issue that has not only affected the judiciary, but virtually every key sectors in the country.
You know what we're looking at? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, Fina. Thank you, Mr. Lawson. I'd like us to walk around this thing, because Barrister Agomodi said something about interests. Yeah. You said something too. And he also made mention of a recent change of the law to ensure that a particular person, the IGP in particular, remains in office till 2027. Now, we see this woman, Kekere Ekun, from the Southwest. I'm sorry about that, but that is what it is. Also, being elevated to the position of the CJN, even when the last one is also coming from the Southwest. That's not a problem to me. But my concerns are around, Barrister Agomo, should we be looking at 2027?
I mean, is it not obvious? When the CJN is from Southwest, the IGP is from Southwest, the man contesting is from Southwest.
No, but
you can being
from that the CJN is from Southwest, is it a problem? I'm looking at the government having to change the retirement age, and changing the law to put him, to let him remain there in 2027.
Exactly. It's a very serious aberration.
So 2027 is already at play.
It's a done deal. It's a done deal. That is it.
Well.
Because somebody should have challenged this thing. It's wrong. It's morally wrong. In the first place, it is going to cause a lot of acrimony in the police force. They will not be happy.
But I don't think that bill has scaled through yet.
No, it will not. It said it has not scaled through.
It's still in the process. So
no. It's already.
It has not been effected.
No. Leave that thing. It's already there. If
the amendment to the Police Act
is already there. As long as the Tinubu have taken this bill to the National Assembly and they have approved, it's already done. Are you telling me now that they will throw it away? Tagbabio there?
Well, it's possible the House of Representatives.
So you're of the opinion that whatever the president presents to the Assembly.
That is what Tagbabio told. Yes, Tagbabio, yes. He said that's the way to cooperate with the executive. That's his own idea of cooperating with the executive. Remember, when Tagbabio was to be made the Senate president, it's not as if he was the person who was not the person in line. When it comes to the seniority in that Senate, it was not Akpabio. But Tinubu said that.
The conversation is not about
Listen, Moses. Tinubu said that for a long time, no Niger Delta person has become Senate president. That was the argument.
Well, let me now bring it to. Let me come back to
the hierarchy was thrown away. It's about how long we have.
There is a concern. Speaking to antecedents now, where this justice is, there is something hanging around her, the Hope Uzodinma ruling, all right, where a number 3 person was
number 4
person was elevated to be the governor and then tagged the Supreme Court governor of Imo State. And that had a concomitant effect whereby she and some others that were to attend a seminar in the US were denied visas when their aids were granted. That was an embarrassing situation for Nigeria. Should Nigerians be concerned that this individual with this antecedent is occupying this sensitive position.
I'm telling you.
Should we now relax and go by the words of Daniel Bwala that President Tinubu is going to rule for the next 8 years and nobody can do anything about it? He just said that actually.
Daniel is just, I don't know, I don't know how to describe people like Daniel. If President Tinubu will remain as president of Nigeria
for the next
4 years or 8 years, will be determined by Nigerians.
Are we sure?
Yeah, it will be determined by Nigerians. And you see, we may not have gotten to where we want, but the truth is that we have made progress. Nobody in this country, 5 years, some 10 years ago, or even 6 years ago, can tell me that Labour Party was going to come into an election in Nigeria in 2023, win governorship seats, win National Assembly seats in numbers, win state assembly seats, and almost took the presidency from two major political parties that have governed Nigeria since 1999. So the only thing that is permanent is change. We cannot even predict what will happen between now and the next election. That is the power of change. So for me, I don't usually want to believe that somebody will just finish taking coffee or some excess of this thing and start predicting the next 8 years. I'm not giving to that. But about the integrity of the incoming CJN, for me, that sector, that arm of government is too crucial to be left in the hand of anybody that is found wanting. But I have known the woman since she was in the State High Court here. And if you go do a thorough search, you also have that she has to accredit a lot of landmark ruling while she was in the
Give us
High
one
Court.
or two.
A lot of convictions. She was involved in a number of convictions I've read about her that are landmark, including corruption cases where people were sent to jail. So, but that nonetheless, we cannot overlook any issue that has to do with integrity. If there are questions that must be answered, especially by justice of the Supreme Court, I think the NJC, and that is why this process has to go through the NJC. Nigerians raise petitions. Even as it is, Nigerians can still raise petitions
so
if it has to do with the integrity of the person that is nominated, not just to the Supreme Court, even to any court.
Mr. Lawson, you are of the opinion that it shouldn't be based on hierarchy now, but on merits and integrity, as well as to look at
not only on, I'm not opposed to the hierarchy. It's a convention, not in Nigeria. Okay. Even in the United States, the order of hierarchy is respected. But not minding, despite the hierarchy, rather, as a convention, we cannot sacrifice the most important qualification, which is integrity. For somebody to sit in judgment.
Barrister, please,
especially in a court that is defined.
Respond to that as well.
Yes, it's very important. Hierarchy is not the...
Respond to the integrity aspect of it.
That's what I'm saying
it's
here.
It's a major concern right now.
Yes, it is, because you are dealing with human lives here. Your decision can make or mar a country, an entire country, the destiny of a country. So your integrity comes first. You must be qualified both in your hierarchy and in your character.
But Barrister now,
so if one
Mr. Lawson just pointed to something, that regardless of the fact that there is a ruling there's a ruling that she was involved in that brought embarrassment to the country, there are other rulings that she sat over, and one would say thumbs up to judgments that were given at those points. Should we put them side by side to determine if this person is credible enough to occupy?
There are major decisions you take as a judge that will stand you out. This other minor one, maybe when you are in the State High Court, Appeal Court, and all that, it may not really hold water until you get to the Supreme Court. This is where the final decisions are made, and this is where your integrity comes to test. Whatever you have done below is not really important until you get to the Supreme Court, where your integrity and your character will be tested. If you fail there, then why are you moving forward again?
Okay, Barrister Darlington, let me come to you on this. What do you think will be the international community's perception about Nigeria when they know that the person who gets eventually elevated to the position of Nigeria's CJN was denied United States of America's visa because she delivered a judgment that even American government perceived as unjust, as injustice? What do you think? What is it going to help our image how will it help our image?
My brother, the image has been battered long ago. Let me give you one example, or even two. When James Ibori was accused of or alleged to have embezzled money, and EFCC was after him, they were chasing him bumper to bumper. Until the man now decided that, okay, he did the unthinkable in the history of our legal system. This man brought a division in Delta, built a church, a court, equipped it, and appointed his own judges. In fact, he decided who would come and preside over his own case. At the end of the day, out of the 173 charges against him, all of them were thrown out, discharged. Until Farid Awaziri became EFCC chairman and took up the matter and chased him into Dubai. And from Dubai, he ended up in London. At the end of the day, my brother, Ibori was jailed in law. In fact, he pleaded guilty for the same count. The same count. They exonerated him in Nigeria, in Nigerian court.
Okay, so I get that. We outsourced our judiciary.
In fact, that is
and we have done that several times.
In fact, that is how to describe it.
Okay, Mr. Rosen,
if a Kuremadu were to be in Nigeria, he would not be in jail.
Let's talk about the NJC. Let's talk about the NJC that approves all these appointments. You know that the NJC is headed by who? The Chief Justice. And CJN appoints members of the NJC. What does that portend? Is the NJC an independent? Is it really independent if the CJN has to appoint almost all the members of the NJC and the NJC makes recommendations to the president for appointments, including the appointment of the CJN? What do you think we should we leave? Should Nigeria leave the NJC in that mode, considering that it's under the influence of one man?
Well, it's a part of the functional system we run. You know, it's like every system regulates itself without proper auditing. You know, if you look at even the president appoint his own Federal Executive Council member, you know, take decision among themselves. The president being the omnipotent at that level, you know, becomes the all in all. Whatever he wants is what the Federal Executive Council does. That is also cannot be taken away from the fact that the CJN sits in chair in the NJC, mostly made up of people who are from the same system. It is a tradition that has existed. It's the product of one of the issues that we have with our constitution. You know, institutions like the judiciary, like our electoral commission, are supposed to be so organized in such a way that there must be external auditing of their activities. And how do you do that? Are you thinking about bringing people from the media to civil society, you know, even faith-based organizations into be getting involved in how such, you know, commissions or bodies regulate itself? But just like, you know, the same profession, the same system sitting in justice, you know, for itself. So it's what the law has done to us, it's what the Constitution has done to us, and I don't think our opinion alone can change it, except with demand for the necessary, you know, amendment into our laws. Today, the National Assembly sits, appropriates budget, and appropriates for itself.
It's becoming worrisome now, you know, just the way you're bringing it up now, because when we look at the people or the members of the panel that decided that verdict on Hope Uzodima's case in Imo State, we have also there's a lawyer there who happens to be Justice now, okay, Wale Nguta, who also have been there since 2011 as a Supreme Court judge. And he have some issues with him indicting him over corruption, and to the point that the Department of State Services also had to pick him. But he was actually discharged and acquitted, and he still happens to be a Supreme Court judge. Now, my question to you, Barrister, is, as a lawyer, judiciary have ever been the hope of the common man. But the way we're looking at it now on the table of Nigeria, the CJN and all that, do we really still see judiciary to be the hope of the common man?
In fact, I am very, very much afraid, though, from the way things are looking now. It's like politicians are now the last hope of the common man. Because they are the one now who have the knife and the yam. They cut you according to their own whims and caprices. It's no longer the judiciary. Because what we are seeing is not what you envisage. It's not what the people like Justice Oputa, Kayode Esho, Taslim Elias, and all of them. That was not the judiciary they left behind.
How do we get this so wrong? Because we could recall that in
It is
1960s, in the
It is-
60s, you have Nigerian lawyers going to represent other countries.
In
But
fact,
here now, what's happening?
It's because of corruption. Politicians have destroyed everything we hold so dear to us. All the fabric of our society, politicians have bastardized it every way we look at it.
So what's the way forward now?
The way forward is for you and I now to rise up, because
How do you do that?
by talking, by holding them accountable.
But talking alone would solve the problem.
No, they are not comfortable when you are pointing out their issues. So they are not comfortable at all. Look at this end bad government protest. Do you think the people in Abuja were happy?
That went beyond talking. That's what Moses is asking. Beyond talking,
exactly.
what should we do?
No, it is this talking now that will motivate people to say, okay, so this is what is going on.
Well, let's put it out there. We're not calling for uprising or protest.
We need to generate this discussion.
We're asking what other ways, aside from just talking about it in our studios, on the newspaper stands, what other ways? You are a barrister. Tell us, what are the ways according to the law?
It is, hold on. Look, you see, in the human rights community where I belong, we are taking people to court, government officials. These are part of it. Unfortunately, the firebrand we used to have, Ganefa, is no longer around. He's the one who would have taken up all this matter. I'm telling you. So if we can now, maybe from what is going on, is because necessity is the mother of invention. If this thing continues like this, maybe somebody will rise up and say, okay, let me step into the shoes of Ganefa Emi and begin to take up this matter to court, begin to embarrass government officials.
Barrister, talking about going to court, we also know that Serap took Buhari to court several times, more than 100 times.
Exactly.
And got judgment.
Exactly. But
those judgments were never executed.
At all.
So where does that leave us?
No, you see, don't be deterred by the response of government in any issue.
Or the
It is there in the consciousness of the people. It may come up any day. Yes, it may come up and it will work against you. Like some people now, what the crime they committed so many years ago, did it not touch them during this last election? Didn't the record come up? So whether you like it or not, your image has been dented. You may use power and money to cover it, but in the consciousness of the people, you are not worth anything. The greatest judge in the whole world is your conscience. If your conscience have judged you, no matter how you try to pamper it, you will never be happy with yourself. Because one day you leave office and somebody will remind you of your record.
Barrister, I'm kind of worried that we are discussing this thing about conscience, judging you and all of that. Politicians, their consciences are judging them. But the people are hungry because of their actions. So where does, I'm trying to relate how Mr. Lawson, your conscience is judging you because you took my singlet away from me and I'm sweating. And your conscience is judging you. I don't know that your conscience is judging you.
Don't be worried. Don't be worried that the man is not responding to your pleas and all that. It is building up somewhere. This bad guy, it didn't start with Tinubu now. It is something that started with Buhari.
So you have the opinion that we need to resort to faith and hope at this point in time for people who are over 200 million, talking about a nation like Nigeria.
No. Your liberty depends on your eternal vigilance. Because if you don't fight for your right, nobody will give it to you. Nobody, even in the Western world, they fought for whatever they're enjoying today. We need to galvanize, motivate people.
So the ball is in the court of
Nigeria, because the power, you don't know the power you have as a Nigerian. You are the owner of this power they are taking from.
Well, we can see our.
It is because the level of awareness and the level of
lawmakers tinkering with certain laws that might prevent Nigerians from putting out their voices or protesting. They are tinkering with
politicians will always do that.
They will always do that.
But it is left for us as Nigerians, just like Barrister said, to continue to put the pressure. Let me give you an instance. Only a few days ago, a bill was sponsored, to criminalize people who refuse to stand up when reciting.
Yes,
That's by the Speaker of the
I'm sure
House
you know the resistance that followed the introduction of that bill online and in the news and everywhere. And just about 2 days ago, the man was forced to
withdraw
the bill.
Exactly.
If we have not spoken, if Nigerians have not spoken, I'm telling you, they will do that in 48 hours. It took them only 48 hours to bring the 1970 something national anthem back to us, and we are all reciting it today. So I think it's important that we realize the power that we have as Nigerians. A lot of policies of government, even as whatever impression we have about this government or the successive one today, I know there are a number of times that our voices alone, even on social media, have changed a lot of policies that government would have embarked upon. Exactly. So we must consolidate on that to the extent that we cannot achieve the desired change, not only in the area of policies, but including issues that have far-reaching impact on us, like including our elections.
All right.
It will get to a point that it will become very difficult for anybody to think you can still steal the people's mandate or manipulate the outcome of the election. INEC will now become, so fearful of Nigerians to the extent that it will always work to reflect the aspiration of the people.
Well,
so it's a journey.
We pray for
it's a journey.
That Nigeria.
It's a journey, and I hope we'll get there someday.
I hope we get there too. We pray for that Nigeria. Oh well, it's a good place to anchor this conversation as we segue into another conversation, but this one, we'll be talking about the seizure of presidential jets and how embarrassing that is for the nation. This one involves Zhongshan Fucheng, it's a Chinese company, and members of staff of that company as well, and the Ogun State government. Well, we'll talk about this one when we come back. Some Nigerians have also come out to lend their voice to this, calling it an embarrassment. Peter Obi, one Nigerian who has said this is an embarrassing situation for Nigeria. Well, let's talk about this conversation when we come back.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Okay, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now we delve into the second topic of our discussion for today. The Ogun State government has confirmed the seizure of 3 Nigerian presidential aircraft by a French court over a contract dispute with Zhongshan, a Chinese company. The dispute stems from a contract cancellation by the state government, leading Zhongshan to take legal action against both the state and the federal government. A French court grounded the aircraft following a $74.5 million arbitration award in favor of Zhongshan, which Ogun State has not paid. The government condemned the seizure as a tactic by Zhongshan to confiscate Nigerian assets abroad. Meanwhile, former Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi has called the incident an international embarrassment, highlighting failed leadership and a disregard for the rule of the law. Still here with us are Mr. Olufemi Lawson and Barrister Darlington Agommo. Thanks, gentlemen, for staying with us.
Thank you.
Barrister Darlington.
Yes.
You are very familiar with what has happened.
Yeah.
They seized our presidential aircraft in France because they got judgment against Nigeria. More like what happened, it's becoming a pattern for us to outsource our judiciary, The other time it was PID. Now it is Zhongshan, a Chinese company. The other time it was Ibori, and all of that. Barrister Agomo, how much of an embarrassment can this be to Nigeria?
In fact, there is no end to it. It's like somebody has taken over our country for infamy. Now, let's look at it. Let's interrogate this matter properly. Ogun State government wanted to build a free trade zone and they invited this Chinese company. An agreement was reached. And you know, in Chinese company, all of them, they don't finance any project 100%. It's always a counterpart. You bring your own, I bring my own. So it's like this company have fulfilled their own part of the bargain. But Ogun State people did not. And apparently, government changed hands in Ogun State. And the Chinese people were waiting for them to perform, and they didn't. So apparently, the man that took over, who was not there during the contract initiation, decided that he should cancel the contract since he's not getting anything from it. And that was where the problem started. That was where it started. Remember, there was a ruling in 2021 in favor of this company, but everybody kept quiet. They didn't follow it up. Meanwhile, the Chinese company are conscious because they have developed a template. In fact, you cannot take away 1 naira of Chinese money anywhere in the world. They will get it. So in signing that contract, everything was built into it, both this international arbitration and everything. But in like our Nigerian government, we neglected it. We relaxed. Even when that judgment was given, they relaxed. Nobody paid attention until it came to execution. You see. Meanwhile, the interest is mounting. Every day you do not pay, the interest will continue to build up. That was how this money grew to where it is today. After all, I think it was $51 million or so, $51 million or so. So the government of Nigeria, for whatever reason, relaxed.
But
this contract was entered into with the Ogun State government and the Chinese government. But let me tell you one important thing.
Okay.
Every state in Nigeria that want to borrow money outside here, you must be guaranteed by the federal government. Because out there, the international lenders are calling Nigeria, not you. They don't even know you as a state. It's Nigeria. When they want to calculate how much Nigeria, they say Nigeria is owing so amount. It is left for you not to come home and say, you borrowed so, because it will be in the record of the federal government. That was why Okonjo-Iweala had a problem with Oshomole. When Oshomole wanted to go and borrow $75 million, Okonjo-Iweala blocked it and said she did not see any need for that money. You see, so the government that guaranteed it is what the Chinese government knows. And that is the federal government of Nigeria.
Right now, Mr. Olufemi Lawson, as Executive Director of Center for Public Accountability, now we have this issue of free zone building in Ogun State. The money that Zhongshan is talking about stands at $74.5 million. It was more like a contract that was signed for free zone building, not that we borrowed money from China. Why is it that we are having Nigeria 3 aircraft now being grounded over their lawsuit?
Barrister said it, the guarantor is Nigeria in any international trade. That's the standard. But it is another result of our anyhowness as a country where we do not even... Don't be surprised that somebody did not even read the entire document before signing the agreement. That's how anyhow we have become as a country. These are conditions ordinarily that a state as big as we should avoid.
Bayo Onanuga is likening this to the PNID case, saying it's unjust, that this firm just wants to reap, basically, paraphrasing his words now, want to reap where they did not sow.
It is always the intention of every businessman, particularly these Chinese companies, to make maximum profit for any investment. They don't run charities. Even when they come and claim they want to partner with you, they always have the upper part of the cake in their hand. That's the Chinese business word for you. Why do we go into agreements when we are not ready? Chinese do big business with countries all over the world, even in Africa. And they have done businesses with states. In Nigeria, the Lagos state have had a lot of, opportunities, business relationship with the Chinese, companies. So these are just companies, not even Chinese government directly. And it's a profit-making company. It's not a charity organization. It has rights to recoup its investment because there was an agreement. But like I said, somebody may not have even read the detail of that agreement because it was signed. Now you have put a whole nation, not just the fact that the presidential jets are seized that were being ripped of our assets, but the embarrassment it has come with.
We have seen Nigerian actually pulling out of some agreements of a recent, for example, the Samoa agreement that was signed. Now they signed this when they went for the conference, but now we've heard that that particular agreement, Samoa agreement, has been placed on hold over the clauses that have been raising eyebrows in Nigeria. Barrister Darlington Agumo, are we actually seeing more of what Zhongshan is doing to Nigeria over the free trade agreement?
Yes, we are going to see more because under Buhari, Chibika Amechi, who was the transport minister, was signing agreement on a blank sheet of paper. The Chinese will just bring, he will sign before they will not type whatever they want to, in their own language, in their own right, in Mandarin. We had it with before the National Assembly when they were trying to scrutinize Amechi's contract agreements. That it was a blank paper that your own minister went to sign with Chinese people. So the Chinese will not type whatever they want to type there. And when the loan is matured, you start running helter-skelter. This is not the first time. Remember, in the 80s, we wanted to build what is it not monorail?
Monorail.
Yes.
Monorail.
Jack Conde have concluded all the arrangements. That thing was to cost, I think, $60 million or so. Do you know that immediately Buhari took over, he cancelled it? And Nigeria paid. We paid for a contract that was not done. We paid fully. That was what saved us from that embarrassment. But in this other case now, they don't know that when you breach agreement, the world has moved on. The international arbitration will be waiting for you. The moment you breach any agreement, except the other man want to sacrifice his rights, he has the right to go to international arbitration because every of those agreements, the clause is there. Because they don't trust even your judiciary. That's why this is happening outside here.
Mr. Lawson, let's come back to the issue of continuity in government. We understand that one governor signed this agreement. Another one came and reneged on it.
Yes.
How much concern should it give us that our governments are unable to ensure a continuity? And this is what leads to abandoned projects. Last time we had about 37 trillion naira of abandoned projects
all over
Nigeria.
Can you imagine?
What can we do to stop this line of descent?
It is a reflection of the fact that government in Nigeria have become so personalized that whoever comes into position as governor or whoever feels it is his turn, it's his entitlement, and it is not about the institution. And that is why, despite coming from the same political party, the incumbent administration in Ogun State has practically neglected some of the things that were done by his successor, a governor from the same political party. If it were to be about the institution, even if your worst enemy from another political party takes over from you, you know that every issue that has to do with that institution, agreement law must be respected in line with the dictate of the law. But here it is more like an ego trip, a personality. Now I'm now in charge, not minding the fact that you are actually not in charge of your private business, but
I like
business
to
of the
believe that
people.
one of the issues they had with the Ogun Guangdong Free Trade Zone is because from 2007, when the agreement was signed, up until 2015, the allegation was all they had done was erect a perimeter fence around the free trade zone area. That's all they had done. And this is an organization, firms were supposed to utilize that area for the production of furnitures and things like that. But
are you listening to what the government is saying? Have you heard from the Chinese people? Have you? You cannot base your own argument on what the government told you because you know it's not true. You see, one thing about Chinese people, they don't renege on any agreement. Give it to them. You know, it's a communist state. They don't renege on any agreement. It is you. Remember that they are taking over.
Should we now believe the Chinese over the government of Nigeria?
We should, because they are a communist country. They protect their own image. They know that if they don't do it well, they will not be in business.
They share a different.
Yes.
I don't want to. I know the Chinese. They can be opportunistic at some point.
Okay.
Because they are profit making. All their missions are profit-driven. So give it to them. But why do we wait if truly they did not do what is expected at the free trade zone?
You are the one who's
Why
supposed
should
to take
we
them to
wait?
court.
We've had the government, yes, government. Why didn't the government take steps against them?
Yes.
That now the accused is not looking like like the complainant. If you had an agreement with this company and they only came and built a perimeter fence around the land allocated for the free trade zone, what were you looking at as a state? Until you that's supposed to be the complainant now turn to be the accused. Because that is why sometimes it is difficult to believe what some of our governments say.
So where does this leave Nigeria now, as the case may be, in the international space, even as our president is traveling, looking for FDI for the betterment of Nigerian economy?
It's a big embarrassment, and something must be practically done as soon as possible to settle this issue. It means that the president can be flying into a country and your jet will be grounded there on the basis of this or there are some others that may come later. Because we don't even know how many of these litigations are hanging against some of these states and even the federal government in some countries of the world. So you don't just find our president traveling one day, maybe to a particular country in Europe, and he arrives and he's told that the jet cannot fly because they have no regard for your protocols and all these privileges we enjoy in Africa.
Okay, now Barrister Darlington. Okay, you wanted to say something.
Yes, and it will help. You see, this is an eye-opener to Tinubu because from the look of things, he didn't even know the extent Buhari embarrassed us when he was in office, especially with the Chinese loan and all that. He should go into the books and look at all the agreement because these Chinese people, they will wait for you, they will lay ambush. He may fly into any of these countries one day and then come back with a Keke Marowa. They will grant his plane and tell him to go back home. And that is a fact. It is here that we disobey court order. Fina, over there, the government, the Western part, they fear court order like anything. The moment court have ruled in any of these Western countries, Canada, US, UK, my dear, they will humble themselves. But here we flat it. And we think that we will flat it over there and they will listen to you. They don't have time for you. That is what happened. I have just given you an example. If Ekweremadu were to be in Nigeria, he won't be in jail in UK. He will not go to jail over that matter. He will not. But look at what Jeremy Johnson said while he was reading that judgment. In fact, I was clapping for the man. He took Ekweremadu to the cleaners because of that boy who he claimed is the nobody. You can't take Ekweremadu to court because of that boy in Nigeria. It can never happen. It can never happen. That is why you grow your society. And that's why they fear court order over there. But here we don't. So Tinubu should go into the books because to avoid, it would have been so embarrassing. In fact, it would have been a disaster if Tinubu were to be in France and this thing happened.
But in the words of the Attorney General of Nigeria, he was of the opinion that Zhongshan have actually withheld vital information and is also misleading the judicial court in Paris,
leave
to attack Nigerians. Don't you actually think that can actually
stay? Like I said,
let them go and appeal if they have the real document. What we are there looking for since 2021? Let them look. All these PAID, they are not the same thing. No, you cannot compare apple and orange just because they are fruits. They are not the same thing. This one is a clear case of breach of agreement. So let them go there. That of PAID was a fraud.
Well, Barrister, I don't think we have the details of the case yet, so we don't jump to conclusions here.
Okay. But the fact is that the court have entered judgment, and for a court to enter judgment, that means two of you must have appeared before that court.
Well, it was an ex parte order.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, let's walk back to solution providing. Providing solutions. It is enough. It's good that we are talking about. We are holding this discussion. Many Nigerians are holding this discussion. In very specific terms, what do you think the Nigerian government needs to do, both at the federal and the state level, to ensure that this kind of embarrassment going forward doesn't come to us?
Firstly, I think it's a lesson for people who takes over power at any level in Nigeria to understand that government is continuum. You cannot say because you have issues with your predecessor, you want to drop the books. Like I told you, it's not impossible that the administration came in and didn't even check the books. Don't be surprised that even if this litigation notice have been served, it's very possible the Nigerian thing for the government to ignore until this judgment came. So lesson is that as much as we behave as if we don't respect our laws, we must learn how to honor agreement and understand that there is law in every society. Because some people have this attitude of disobeying law. We've said it here earlier, the number of court orders have been served on government that are disobeyed, some they are thrown into the lockers. Now it's a time for you to respect your own law to the extent that you become conscious of the laws of other lands. And government must be honorable. To honor agreement, the another lesson is that when you go into agreement with people and they are seen not to be playing their own side of the bargain, what are you looking at? A serious government would ordinarily have taken up such a company while it was not working according to agreement than wait and allow the company to fail. Because sometimes you want them to fail so that they can. Now, you think they have failed, now they have come to defeat you. So government must learn that agreement is agreement, and government must learn to be serious with issues of businesses that it goes into. All right, well, the Office of the NSA is working with the Ogun State government to ensure that this is resolved as soon as they can. But what going forward now for Ogun State itself? Because let's make it clear, this wasn't a deal with the federal government of Nigeria. Yes. This was a deal with Ogun State, a federating unit in Nigeria, and this can happen to any other state in Nigeria. But then the federal, according to international extant laws, the federal government gets dragged into it. But going forward, what are the measures that the federal government can take to ensure that if certain things are done, states like Ogun State now will have to, be punished for entering such deals that ultimately embarrass the nation? Even though the states have their powers to negotiate agreements, to go into agreement with any organization or company, I think now the federal government must be interested in whatever agreements our states are going into, especially with all these Chinese and foreign companies, because it is under obligation when this dispute arises from such a negotiation and agreement, it is under obligation to be answerable in some of this. Like today, Nigeria is answerable to a deal signed by the state government and a Chinese company. So if on the long run I may become culpable of the consequences of your action, then I must be interested. So that federal government must be deliberate, either through a unit of the presidency or whatever, or the Ministry of Finance or Trade and Investment, that it is involved practically in the negotiation of agreement between our states and some of these foreign companies, to the extent that when there are issues, we will not just get ourselves embarrassed like the issue of Ogun State and this Chinese company have brought to us. So the government must not sit back and say it is their business. It's no longer going to be their business. The federal government must be involved more than it is doing. Okay. You understand? In future negotiations between state and
all right,
this
Barrister,
international organization.
Yes. Barrister, now, just a quick one. Nigeria's economy is not really smiling. The loans that we have in Nigeria stands at 123 trillion naira. For, just asking now, yes, we know this case is not yet over, but we have another $74.5 million now to be what the sanction is pressing Nigeria, for, as the fact that they actually broke the agreement that they had with Ogun State. Now, what does this really portend for our economy, as the case may be?
That means
if the judgment is upheld.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that means your debt is mounting instead of reducing. Remember when Tinubu said that they have reduced debt payment by 68% or so, instead of 97% that he met on ground. Now, the fact on ground does not show that the debt is reducing. It doesn't. Because he made it at either, I think, 78 or 77 trillion. But within 1 year, it has climbed to 123. Does it show that the thing is reducing? The answer is no. So all the lies they are telling us, in fact, they should stop. Because whenever they tell lie today, by the following day, the lie will expose itself. The only thing that will save us from this thing, this contract embarrassment and all that, FINA, they should stop collecting bribe from these foreign companies. That is why the government will not even have the moral right to question them when they fail. I am telling you.
But the president said if anybody wants to take bribe from you, come to you.
No, you know you just said it now. You know you just.
No, what else will he have done?
He has said it. He just said it now, but in reality, from what you are seeing today, is that what is on ground? The answer is no. Most of these contracts that we enter, most of them, in fact, 80% of the money go into private. That's why the contracts are abandoned and nobody questions anybody. 80% of the money go into the pockets of Nigeria, maybe people in authority. That is why the contracts are abandoned.
So does it now mean that this administration does not really have the political will to uphold the words that they've actually said?
They don't even have the political will to do the commonest thing, to secure you. They don't even have the political will to secure you. This is something they swore to protect your life and your property. The government does not have the political will to do it. If not, we will not be talking of insecurity by now. So if they cannot do those commonest things, is it this other one that they can do? All of them are involved because that's where they get their kickback. Okay, look at it this way now, Fina. There was a contract for Lagos-Calabar superhighway, which was not discussed. The money was not appropriated. No, nothing was not. It was not even costed. Tinubu on his own, 1.6 trillion naira, and they have started work. What does that tell you? Are you telling me that that contract is not tainted with corruption? No, is it possible? By the time he leaves office now, somebody will now enter, and then the contractor will now say, this and that too. We start running all over the place.
Funny enough, the contract actually has been, the construction of the coastal highway has been suspended, and Senate actually is looking into that. Now, Mr. Olufemi, this call, or this word of embarrassment is coming from Mr. Peter Gregory Obi. Do you think this administration actually will do swiftly everything possible to make sure that the face of the country is saved? Or are they going to also treat it as a case of opposition trying to, talk down on the administration?
Well, I don't think the government itself has even said anything contrary to the position of Mr. Peter Obi. Even the government has admitted that it is embarrassing. And just like the opinion of Mr. Peter Obi, it's an embarrassment. I think, and we've also all agreed there that it's a big embarrassment to us as a country. And I think moving forward is how to save ourselves from this embarrassment.
Moving forward now, how can, what are the measures do you think the federal government of Nigeria can take to protect its assets in foreign lands?
Of course, the first step that any government must take is to ensure that it complies with every laws and agreement that it goes into. Because you cannot, it's a question of morality. You don't just find yourself in this kind of situations if you have not entered into agreement that are binded by, conditions. But like Pastor said, these agreements have all these details. You can't just wake up and seek another of the court to confiscate my property if it was not in our agreement that in the case of default.
Now, you pointed to something earlier. You said government should be a continuum.
Yes.
We've seen issues where one government leaves office, another one comes and basically tears down things erected by the previous administration. But civil service is a continuum. Civil servants, they stay. They don't leave with the government of the day. Shouldn't governors be fed proper information before they make decisions on issues that will affect the state and the nation at large?
Be fed by civil servants, information. Do you know how powerful these governors are in their states? Do you think they give regard to the due process? Ordinarily, their actions are supposed to be guided by the ethics they are meeting on ground. Let me give you an instance. Do you know that this system have made, in this country at a point in time, I know ministers that cannot even give a single approval without their permanent secretaries at a time in this country. But do we still have that culture? Don't you see permanent secretaries wearing Babangida Riga and following ministers all over to Owambe events today? Permanent secretaries were little gods in the ministries. You get every approval from the minister will tell you that the PS has not signed. The PS sit back. Sometimes you don't even know them by their face. Exactly. They sit back, so influential, because they are the custodians of that ministry. They are the custodians of the account and everything. But today, reverse is the case.
So what I hear from you is politicians basically have dug their fingers into everything, and they have basically
In charge.
ruined
So, yes.
a lot of things. So back to the question, what's the way forward, really?
The way forward is that our law is not strong enough to deal with this kind of situations. We must invest a lot, and that's why I always commend your station
But
and
it's
others
not
who
our
are
law.
doing
Yes,
this
it's not
job
our
of
laws.
advocacy. We must
It's not our laws that tells a PEMSEC to, hobnob with a political office holder.
No,
it's not our laws.
No, if our
That's an
laws,
individual thing.
are strong enough to limit the powers that are given to ministers, to limit the powers that are given to some of these elected officials, naturally it will rein them into, behaving properly.
Mr. Lawson, is it an issue of laws or implementation? Do we have problems with the laws or how they are implemented?
Both
Because
sides.
I also know that these laws are there.
No, both sides. Some of the things you call laws in Nigeria are really, comic to me. For instance, we say there are laws, and a law that prescribe an option of fine of 2 million naira, but somebody brought to court for stealing 1 billion naira. So there are issues with our laws, even though the question of the will to implement is there. But the truth is that a lot of, and when the foundation is destroyed, there's nothing you can do. There's a lot of fault in what is called the Constitution of Nigeria and other laws operated within the country.
All right, then. Well, let's have our concluding thoughts.
It is about obeying what the law stated. If we begin to obey what the law stated, in fact, this place will be. In fact, politicians will be afraid of not just the people but the law. But because they know that they can do anything and get away with it. That's why they act with impunity without regard to the so-called law. That when they are sworn, they swore to protect these things. Now, let me give you an example. When Donald Trump came to the first time in the U.S., a CNN intern was seconded to his office to report him and all that. And the man challenged him when he brought this travel ban. He exchanged words with a U.S. president, a journalist. Donald Trump sent him out of the White House, said he should not cover that place again. When he got back to office, the office sent him back to go there and do his work. And when Donald Trump sent him back, they went to court. And the court told the guy to go back to his beat. Case closed. In Nigeria, Buhari said he doesn't want to see some media houses near Aso Rock, including AIT, because of the documentary they aired about him, the essential Buhari and the Lion of Bodilo, that brought out the real persons in these two. They threw them out of Aso Rock. Until Buhari left, they never went there to do anything. You can see the two opposites. The president we have, the politicians we have in Nigeria, they are not here to build this country. That's the difference. Other Western nations that you are talking of today, they were built by politicians. Politicians who want to build their nation, not Nigerian politicians. Their own is to line their pockets. Our money is in their pockets.
All right, Barrister, thank you very much for those concluding thoughts. Mr. Lawson.
We must continue the conversation, just like Barrister said. We should not get tired. And I know that Nigerians still hold the haze when you talk about the power to make change happen. And
I like to believe that as
hope.
well. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program. We'll take a break now. We have been discussing with Barrister Darlington Agumo here in the capacity of a political analyst, and Olufemi Lawson, Executive Director, Center for Public Accountability, CPA. We'll take a break. When we come back, other segments of the program.
From the views on the street
We go to bed empty hunger.
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Thank you for staying with us. It's still VOP this morning on Voice of the People TV. Up next is Trends, and we have Chisom Enyindaya in the studio for this segment. Good morning, Chisom.
All right. Good morning,
Good morning,
everybody.
Chisom.
Good morning, Chisom.
And you look weekend ready. Is there
Weekend
anyone
ready.
there?
You know what I'm saying? Oh, yes.
All right, let's take what is trending on social media right now. So social media was abuzz with panic as hackers breached GT Bank's website, launching a major phishing operation that endangered customers' data. GT Bank issued a statement reassuring customers that their data remained secured. Meanwhile, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, also encountered issues with its X account, formerly Twitter, which was offline for several days. These incidents with the EFCC and X account and GT Bank's website have sparked concerns about the security of digital communication channels used by government agencies. The EFCC is collaborating with cybersecurity experts to investigate the breach and prevent future incidents. Well, let's get comments. First, we have one from Rich Gadgets. All right, this person wrote, cybersecurity experts are needed more than ever, and customers and companies must prioritize securing their cyberspace against attacks. We are in the world of the internet. All right, and Josh Exclusive said, we are going to be seeing more of this in a few years if these banks do not step up their security measures. The dark web is crazy already, and then there is Nigeria. Sad. Well, this cybersecurity issue, Fina, what do you think about it?
It's quite disheartening that we're having it back again on this table. We could recall that even there was a glitch apart from the cybersecurity issue. Now, there was a glitch also that happened with the Taj Bank that led to, having a court order telling OPay, PamPay, and all that to return a particular amount of money, over 139 millions of naira, back to the Taj Bank. Now, if, for example, we want to toe the line of getting the Cybersecurity Act back on the table, it should actually be sent to the people that actually need it. Not ordinary Nigerians who actually are not doing a business that will lead to that and all that. But also, I think it's high time banks, most especially, will double up their effort in making sure that their cybersecurity is well guarded.
Yeah.
All the top officials that do it, high profile, EFCC, DSS, and all other people that do, even our DMOs that push out their information on the website, they should be very, very careful on how they run that. And that's all I can actually say on it.
Okay, all right. Let's go to another, conversation. Nollywood actor Yul Edochie has weighed in on the ongoing feud between the iconic music duo P-Square. He emphasized that the brothers' happiness is more important than the reunion and urged fans to respect their decision to stay apart if it brings them peace. So he further added that it will be good to see P-Square together, but if staying apart makes them happy and alive, then it's better. He added that they should block whoever they needs to be blocked if their peace of mind is at stake, and as life is too short and maintaining distance can be essential for their personal well-being. Do you agree with this, Mr. Mo?
Yeah, well, yes, actually.
To some extent.
Your peace of mind is important.
Yeah.
It's good to be together, but what's happening between P-Square, like we talked about this earlier in the week.
Yes.
It's embarrassing, it's unfortunate, it shouldn't be heard of, happening between brothers, especially as their eldest brother Jude is also embroiled in all of this. It's really unfortunate. But I don't think staying together as a group is that important. They can go their separate ways.
Yeah.
Well, I know they went their separate ways the first time. They made music. It didn't really have that push. So if they can't stay together, they should stay apart. But what Peter, Paul, Peter, which one is
Peter and Paul?
Rude Boy. Okay,
Rude Boy and Mr. P.
I'm so far with Rude Boy and Mr. P. So what Mr. P is calling for is justice, really.
Yes.
You don't steal monies that belong to them and keep him out of it, and you're spending. It's their hard work.
Yeah.
All right. So if they're getting royalties and all of that, it should be spread around. Greed is what I see in all of this, and it's unfortunate. So they can stay apart, but sort out the greed aspect.
Okay. Okay. What about unity? Where does unity take place?
Before I come, I want to walk back to the cybersecurity issue. You know, I think these things are becoming too frequent. You know?
Yeah.
But my worry is that if you talk about cybersecurity and preventive mechanisms, you know, my concern is that people at the back end, you know, how do they get to the back end? What I mean is this: if you're able to block something, if you're able to build this door, you also have the capacity to break it.
Yeah, but sometimes
so the issue is this:
your security can be hacked.
Yeah, it can.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So don't you see some kind of insider abuse?
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Really, yeah, because internet space is a different world on its own.
Okay.
It has to do with the coding and you know in yourself that this particular time, the 21st century that we are in now, everything on this space, on the internet space,
but more often than not, when things like this happen, we see that the agency in question will track the FBI. You know, we see this happen abroad. FBI would track down the hacker, bring the hacker in, and find out how they were able to do that.
Yeah. Moses, you exactly what I am saying. How were they able to do that? You said especially the employer.
Hackers.
Sometimes. Good. Now you have shared my concerns.
No. What Moses is saying is this: tracking the people that hack this account, it's okay. But they are not necessarily part of the organization.
Exactly.
Hackers are not necessarily part of the organization. The internet space is too broad that it keep on moving with the coding and digits and everything that hackers are there, doing it.
Would that be all
That's all we have on trends this morning.
All right, then. We'll get used to that. I saw that you took a pause there. Oh, well, thank you very much, Chiso.
Thank you.
And that's all we have for the show as well. Chukwuma, any parting shots?
Oh, it's very interesting. The show is very interesting. And like Paul and Peter should Paul and Peter should find a way around their quarrel to make up. I mean, it's blood. They say blood is thicker than water.
They say.
It's thicker than water. So
they say.
Anyhow.
But there's one that sticks closer than a brother.
I also I agree with you, but all I'm saying is that, look, they should find a way around it to make peace.
All right, then. Well. And he's Chukwuma Okoro.
I'm Chukwuma Okoro, by the way.
All right, from Pino Chuku, just to let you know that at 9 a.m. this morning, we'll be having the proper newspaper analysis. So stick tuned. Don't go anywhere. Voice of the people will give you more than a voice.
Oh, yes. I am Moses Humphrey. See you at 9. Bye for now.